The main problem with a disability is that most people meet it before they meet you. I know this because I live with it every day. My name is Chip Wilson. I am the statewide disability coordinator for the Florida Division of Emergency Management. In this video, we will discuss how to interact with people who have certain disabilities. This information should prove invaluable when assisting survivors with disabilities as you carry out your mission for SERT. Let's start with visual impairments. Approximately 2.5 million people in the United States are legally blind, meaning that even with corrective lenses, they have less than 2200 visual acuity, or that their visual field is 20 degrees or less, regardless of acuity. Many of them have some residual vision. Less than 10% of blind people use Braille for reading, and many people who are legally blind are able to read large print. Many have low vision, which means they have eyesight that is better than 2200 or visual field that is better than 20 degrees, but they have some significant impairment that substantially limits their ability to see well under different circumstances. Many people who are blind or who have low vision wear very thick glasses or very dark sunglasses. Others carry white canes. Still others use service animals such as guide dogs. And some walk with another person who serves as a sighted guide. Some who are legally blind or who have low vision might not use a cane or a guide dog or wear glasses of any kind. With that in mind, think about these 4 activities when you stage a disaster relief facility. How do survivors arrive at your site, and what do they do when they get there? How do survivors move about your facility? How do you communicate with visually impaired survivors? How do survivors register for services? Also, staff should be ready to provide information as to the location of the nearest fire exit using specific language. When talking to people who have a disability, use disability-sensitive language and etiquette. Words such as blind, visually impaired, seeing, looking, watching television are acceptable in conversation. Likewise, using descriptive language with references to color, patterns, and the like is fine. You will find that people with visual impairments may need help when dealing with forms and documents. Upon request, be prepared to read fully and provide assistance in completing registration forms and other documents based on requirements of law.
Here's the needs assessment form that you'll be needing to fill out.
I'm sorry, I lost my glasses in the flood. I can't read this print.
Would you like me to read it for you?
Yes, that would be great.
Number and household?
4.
You may find it more helpful to survivors to provide frequently used documents, including registration instructions, in Braille and large print. Many people who are legally blind or who have low vision are able to read documents printed in 18 or 20 point type in a sans serif font such as Arial.
I'm sorry, I can't read this. Do you have anything in a larger print?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you.
Be prepared to assist visually impaired survivors with their signatures by using a signature template or by simply placing a cardboard edge horizontally below a signature line, or orient the opening of a signature template wherever signature is required.
What I need you to do is put my card under the line and put my finger at the top left corner, and that will give me some direction on where to sign at.
Okay, can you hand me your card, please? Okay. I'll take your left hand and I'm going to put it in the top left corner. There's your pen.
Thank you.
Now let's consider survivors with physical impairments. Do not lean on a person's wheelchair unless you have permission to do so. A wheelchair is personal space. Do not assume a person using a wheelchair needs assistance. Always ask before providing assistance. If your offer of assistance is accepted, ask for instructions and follow the instructions given.
Can I be of assistance to you?
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks.
What would you like me to do?
If you can hold the door open for me, that'd be wonderful.
Sure.
When talking to a person who uses a wheelchair, look at and speak directly to that person rather than through a companion. Relax and speak naturally.
Good morning. Welcome to the Disaster Recovery Center.
My house was recently damaged in a storm.
Do not be embarrassed if you happen to use accepted common expressions such as "got to be running along" that seem to relate to a person's disability. When talking to a person in a wheelchair for more than a few minutes, use a chair whenever possible. This can facilitate conversation.
I'm glad we could be of assistance. You have a nice day. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Disaster Recovery Center.
Hi.
When greeting a person who uses a wheelchair, it is appropriate to offer to shake hands with that person, even if he or she has upper extremity limitations.
Hi, I'm Stormy. How can I help you?
Hi.
Use proper terminology when referring to a person who uses a wheelchair. Terms such as wheelchair bound or confined to a wheelchair are inappropriate. Using a wheelchair does not mean confinement. Do not assume that all people who use wheelchairs have the same limitations. People use wheelchairs for a variety of reasons and have different limitations and abilities. When giving directions to a person with a mobility impairment, consider distance, weather conditions, and physical obstacles such as stairs, curbs, and steep hills.
How you doing?
If a person uses a service animal, do not pet, feed, or try to play with it. A service animal is working and should not be interrupted. Hearing impairments can present their own set of challenges when providing assistance in the field. When assisting the hearing impaired, address questions, comments, or concerns directly to the individual, not to a person in their presence. Make direct eye contact. Natural facial expressions and gestures will convey important information during the conversation. Do not allow your face and mouth to be obscured by your hands, hair, or food. When speaking to a person who lip reads, speak clearly without over-articulating. Shouting or exaggerating one's speech does not help communication. To get a person's attention, call his or her name. If there is no response, lightly touch them on the arm or shoulder. If you do not understand what is being said, do not pretend to understand. Ask again. If you experience extreme difficulty in communicating orally, ask if writing is all right. Two people can share a notepad or share a keyboard and view the computer screen. Cognitive impairments can be difficult to deal with, but a little patience goes a long way in this situation. Don't assume the survivor is not listening just because you're not getting verbal or visual feedback. In fact, this may be your first clue to a situation involving cognitive impairment. Ask the survivor whether they understand or agree. Don't assume you have to explain everything to people with learning disabilities. They do not necessarily have a problem with general comprehension. Offer to read written material out loud if necessary. Finally, we have speech impairments. Do not confuse this type of impairment with an inability to comprehend. Listen patiently and carefully. Do not complete sentences for the person unless they indicate they need help. Don't pretend you understand what a person with a speech disability says just to be polite. Ask the person to repeat if you don't understand. Ask the person to write down the word if you're not sure what they are saying. Use these practices when serving survivors during SERT activations, and you will find that members of the disability community will greatly appreciate your sensitivity and understanding of their circumstances as you perform your mission. And remember, failure is not an option.